Hello, this is episode 2 of BatDan and RoBen Dynamic Discussions.
Hello.
I'm BatDan.
RoBen, back for the sequel.
Yeah,
as it were.
the sequel, the second episode.
Always worse than the first. They say that about sequels, but this won't be. This will be an improving junction.
Hopefully.
In our podcasting career.
Yeah. So today we've decided to tackle quite a big topic. We're going to we're going to discuss top 10 comic book villains. Or our personal favourite top 10
preferences.
Yeah.
So 20 picks in total.
Yeah, and we want to preface it by saying that this is just our lists as they are at this moment in time.
Today.
They do kind of change depending on what we read, what we watch, things like that. You know, developments with the characters as well.
How I'm feeling on that particular day.
Yeah, exactly.
Compared to how I was feeling yesterday.
Exactly. Which we made these lists yesterday.
Yeah. As we're so prepped.
Yeah, exactly.
And professional.
Yeah.
We made our lists the day before.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, right. How about, do you want to go first, Ben?
Yeah,
and,
I'll go first.
With number 10. We're going to
Number 10.
We're going to alternate between, you know, he's going to give his 10, I'm going to give my 10, and so on. And such with.
Then my 9, your 9.
So,
sweet. So to kick us off with quite a topical one. Wilson Fisk.
Wilson Fisk.
AKA the Kingpin.
Yeah, he's on my list. He's higher up on my list.
Okay. Well, he's my number 10.
Yeah.
Mainly because of the recent Daredevil Netflix show. Vincent D'Onofrio
did a very good job, I thought.
Very good job bringing the characters to life.
Yeah. The reason why he's higher on my list is because of the Spider-Man animated series.
Yeah.
I loved that series. I loved that series growing up, and the Kingpin in that he was the villain more often than not. In that series, and he was great in that. But
I mean, I do know him from the comics and stuff, and he always got a menacing presence.
Yeah,
the Kingpin, which is why he's made my list. But why I really like him of recently, because of that Daredevil show, is I like a villain that you can relate to.
Right.
That will probably come up a lot in my list. And how do you make a mob boss relatable? The way they did it in the show,
socially awkward.
You make him socially awkward in front of girls.
Yeah.
I mean, of course I can relate to that.
Vanessa, I really, really like spending time with you.
That's a really good impression. I'm really gonna. I'm not even gonna try it. But yeah,
I've been working on it.
I can relate to that.
Yeah, being awkward around girls can definitely relate to that.
Can comic book nerds relate to that?
Yeah, I wonder.
So that's why he's made my list.
Fair
I can
enough.
relate to him.
Yeah.
But then he also, in that show in particular, turns on a swivel.
Yep.
That scene, spoilers, where he decapitates a man's head with a car door.
That was brutal. That was like the first episode he was properly in as well. Because I think he appeared at the end of the episode before that, and then in that one, it was just brutal.
The way they built him up.
I was just like,
and then they unleashed him.
You know, yeah.
So I liked his character. He was very aggressive and kind of almost seemed like he was putting in so much effort to stay calm all the time, which is what made him a bit awkward.
And you couldn't really, you never kind of could tell what he was about to do next. You know what I mean? It was one of those things where he could just snap at any minute.
Yeah, definitely.
And just 1 minute you're absolutely fine, and he's you're having a conversation with him. Next minute, you've got no head.
Yeah.
I mean, because there was also spoilers. There was also the scene where he strangled the reporter.
Yeah.
Like that was pretty brutal as well. Like because he was just there, kind of calmly saying, and he was just a bit like, I don't think I can let you live. And then
and he at points as well, you think he thinks he's the good guy.
Yeah, he definitely thinks he's the good guy,
but he wasn't. He was
in the story. Yeah, he was definitely.
And that's another thing I like with my villains. I like them to be properly bad.
They need to think. There's nothing scarier than a villain that thinks he's in the right.
Thinks he's in the right, but he's an evil man, which he was. Yeah. Anyway, I think that'll do for me. Unless there's anything more you want to
add. Well, I might add a little bit more when I get to him on my list. But
okay.
But my number 10.
Your number 10
is a villain that a lot of people would probably put a lot higher on their top 10. But I can understand why. But I'm going with Ra's al Ghul.
Okay.
As my number 10, or Ra's al Ghul, depending on how you want to.
I've always gone for Ra's.
Yeah, I normally go for Ra's as well.
Batman Begins.
Yeah, same. Basically. Yeah, and the reason I'm putting I've got Ra's on my list is because, partly because of the way he's been portrayed twice now, on two different screens, on the movie screen by. Yeah, both live action.
Both live action, yeah.
I thought Liam Neeson did a really good job as Ra's al Ghul in Batman Begins, and obviously, that 30 seconds he was in of The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah. His ghostly apparition.
But then also I thought that Matt Noble did a great job.
Is that the Arrow?
On Arrow, in season 3 of Arrow. I thought it was the weakest season overall for Arrow. However, I did think that Matt Noble's portrayal of Ra's al Ghul was equally as menacing as at least of Malcolm Merlyn.
He seemed always in control.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, spoilers if you haven't watched it, but I mean, this happened months ago in both America and here in the UK. So that mid-season finale.
Yeah.
You're expecting where they have that fight, where they have that fight, and just that bit right before the fight even happens, where Oliver's like, "You don't have any weapons," and Ra's is just like, "When the time is right, I will take your swords from you," and it's badass. Just like, and then obviously, like for the first minute of the fight, he doesn't have anything. He's just dodging all of Oliver's attacks, and then obviously there's that part when you think Oliver's about to win, and he brings his sword down, and Ra's just catches it in his hand, and you can see the blood trickling out, but he doesn't flinch or anything. That's then obviously he runs the sword through Oliver, and you don't know. Yeah, I mean, obviously they weren't going to kill Oliver off, but even in that moment, I thought, oh wow, have they actually? Decided to, go on a complete I thought maybe they have just decided they're going to kill Oliver off. It
would have been, it would have been a terrible idea.
Yeah, it would have been a terrible idea. But at the same time, I was, at first I was just like, wow.
It wasn't expected.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think again with Raj, he's a villain who thinks he's the good guy again.
Yeah, exactly. He thinks he's doing the oddly enough, with his name being Matt Noble, he thinks he's got a noble cause.
A noble cause.
But
I like Ra's al Ghul. He didn't make my list.
Fair enough.
But he's definitely up there.
Yeah. Okay. So how about your number 9 then?
So number 9. Okay. This is lesser known for kind of your more casual comic book fan, but Hush.
Yeah, I thought it would make it was one of my honourable mentions.
So, for those who don't know, Hush is Thomas Elliot.
Dr. Thomas Elliot.
Yeah, a childhood friend of Bruce Wayne. Yeah. And the reason why he's made my list is because he almost, doesn't quite, obviously, but he almost outsmarts Batman.
He does almost. He almost gets there with it.
Which is not an easy feat.
It's not.
And he's not had a lot to do in the comics and stuff.
No, I mean it's mostly just that kind of one story arc called Hush,
Batman, which is my favourite Batman story.
It is a very good story. I read it because of your recommendation, and I loved it. I finished it in I think I read the whole thing in a day.
It's great.
I just sat there
I read it in a day because it's like a mystery.
Yeah,
and then the whole time you just got this hush kind of slowly bubbling to the surface, and then you find out who it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean,
although I mean, I think I kind of, you know, I kind of suspected throughout that it was going to be that guy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're meant to obviously think that it isn't. And Hush actually has, you know, one of my favourite. The story arc has one of my favourite Batman moments,
right?
Which we'll discuss on a later podcast.
Yeah, on another podcast.
It's when he thinks the Joker's killed Tommy Elliot, and he's he almost crosses that line, but then
that is a good moment.
Then Jim Gordon, obviously.
Yeah. So yeah, basically mainly because he almost outsmarts Batman. Yeah, that's why Hush made my list.
Pretty great.
And I would like to see him in more stories.
Yeah, that would be definitely.
In the future.
It would be cool to see him in maybe in a film at some point as well.
I would love that.
That would be That would be like a full-on like Batman detective film.
Yeah.
Which I'd love that.
He hasn't been a detective enough.
I know. I'm hoping that this new iteration of Batman is going to be, you know, more detective.
Definitely.
You know.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I think the animated series is the only time we've seen Detective Batman.
Proper, yeah.
And the video games, of course. Yeah. Nice. Do you want to go on to your number?
Yeah, my number 9. I'm gonna go. I'm heading over to Marvel now with this one.
Okay.
And I'm saying the Mandarin.
The Mandarin, really?
Mandarin. I grew up on kind of pretty much all of the comic book animated shows, and one of my favourite my second favourite Marvel one after the Spider-Man one. Actually, no, my third favourite after Spider-Man and X-Men was the Iron Man one.
Right.
And the Mandarin was kind of like the main villain in that show, and I thought he was portrayed very well in that show. And there's a part where at the end of one of the seasons of it, he loses his 10 power rings. Right. And in the following season, throughout the season, you just see him like tracking them down and finding them, and you're like, something big's coming. And then at the end, he comes back, and him and Iron Man obviously have it out again.
I've not seen any of this. I should check it out.
Very good. I highly recommend it. And to be honest, after growing up on that show and kind of really enjoying the Mandarin, I was personally very disappointed in the way the Mandarin was handled in Iron Man 3. I mean, the trailers sold it as the Mandarin was going to be the guy.
This badass.
He was like, I'm coming, you'll never see me coming. And I was like,
some people call me a teacher.
Yeah. And I was just like, I was so looking forward to seeing, I thought, because at the time it was meant to be the last Iron Man film, whether or not they'll make any more, I don't know, but at the time it was meant to be the last Iron Man film with Robert Downey Jr., excluding Avengers, obviously. Yeah. And I was like, yes, this is the perfect ending to the Iron Man trilogy. Have the Mandarin come in and have them go at it, and then and you got Sir Ben Kingsley as well, such a great actor.
Who was crushing it.
Who was crushing it? Yeah, who was absolutely and then apparently it was all just a bit of a joke.
It was all a joke. Yeah, it was all a little
ruse, and I tried to get over it and enjoy Iron Man 3 for what it was, but upon more viewings, it really doesn't hold up for me.
Yeah, it really doesn't hold up.
It might be my least favourite of the Marvel films. I mean, I think I might even prefer Iron Man 2 to it, just because at least they didn't try and trick me with Iron Man
2. But you do have Mickey Rourke talking about his bird for at least 10 minutes of the movie.
My bud.
My bud.
My bud.
This is somehow important to the story.
Yeah. I don't know. It just, it really annoyed me though.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So my number 9 is the Mandarin. I still think the character's really good, and there's the possibility that he might still come up in the Marvel Cinematic Universe at some point. If you've seen, there's a little Marvel one-shot thing of Ben Kingsley in prison,
Right.
And the real Mandarin sends someone in to kill him because basically he's like, no, you've made a joke of me. Right. So he's, so supposedly there is an actual Mandarin out there.
So it's not Guy Pearce.
No.
As he shouts at the end of the movie.
No.
That would be better.
Yeah, I know. So I'm hopeful that at some point they'll do the Mandarin properly. But then you've got to hire someone that could have done as good a job as I was hoping Sir Ben Kingsley was going to do.
Get Ken Watanabe.
Oh, that'd be cool. That'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sold. Right. Right. Marvel, if you're listening.
Yeah. I'll email Kevin.
Yeah. Get straight on it. Anyway, so how about your number choice.
8? So now my number 8 again, Marvel Universe.
Yeah, nice.
Mainly for the cinematic stuff that I like this guy, and it's Loki. Right. Of course.
Yeah. That was going to be my only Marvel honorable mention.
Oh right, you didn't make your list.
No, but purely because I only know about it because of the films, and I have no other. He's great. Tom Hiddleston is great in the films
as Loki.
But other than that, I have no real attachment to the character. Whereas I have attachment to all my other characters.
So Loki's trickster. He's fun.
Yeah.
The only problem I have with Loki is he's too much fun.
Right.
Now no one wants him to be the villain.
Yeah.
We want him.
People want him to be like an anti-hero almost.
But, But I like the Loki of Avengers 1, who was a bit of a prima donna, but also a bit of a psychopath.
Yeah.
So that was a good mixture.
Yeah.
As much as I want to keep seeing him, I don't want him to be the anti-hero.
Hopefully in the third Thor film, he is just going to be a villain. But at the same time, maybe he won't be.
We just don't want him to die. That's the problem. Yeah, and he's died a lot of times.
Yeah. Do you think that Loki is going to be in cahoots with Thanos? Because obviously the Infinity Gauntlet is on Asgard.
Right. That would be quite interesting.
Thanos. Him and Thanos have worked together before.
Yeah.
In Avengers 1.
Yeah.
Thanos is the one, supplying the army, really. The Chitauri army, that's the one.
Yeah.
And so maybe that'd
be a good way to go.
Yeah. I mean, there's a theory, and it's a very far-fetched theory in my opinion. But there's a theory that Loki intended to lose, to not gain control of Earth in Avengers 1,
right?
So that he could get back to Asgard, and Thanos could then grant Thanos entry into Asgard to get the Infinity Gauntlet. Plus, also, actually, no, they don't have any of the Infinity Stones on Asgard, do they?
No, they're spread out.
Yeah, no. Sorry, I'm thinking of the Collector. Yeah, because they give the ether to the Collector at the end, don't they?
Yes.
So he's still got an Infinity Stone, then, doesn't he? Even though he lost the one in Guardians.
He lost the one in Guardians.
But
I guess he's still got the ether.
Yeah.
So he's got the Tesseract. That's on Asgard as well?
Yeah, that's now on Asgard as of the end of... With the Scepter as well?
Oh, what did happen to that?
Oh no, the Scepter, the Stone... that was Vision, yeah. So that's still on Earth.
Okay.
Then.
That's interesting. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. Marvel are doing a good job.
Yes.
We probably gave them a bit more stick last week than we maybe deserved.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're good. But yeah, Loki is definitely... Nice. He's the only great villain so far in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, definitely. And definitely.
He's made my list.
And that's why. Maybe that's why Age of Ultron was a little bit disappointing, because I was hoping Ultron would be up there with Loki, and overall he wasn't.
He very cool in the trailers.
Yeah.
All right in the movie, but I think over time he's going to be quite forgettable.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
Well, and he's only he's probably only going to be in that one film,
definitely. And you won't remember it.
Exactly.
I think that whole film will kind of be looked on as the... No, you don't need to watch it.
Yeah, exactly. The one you can look over.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't play into the larger universe that much,
apart
from Vision,
probably.
But other than that, okay.
Okay. So you're number 8 then.
My number 8, another Marvel villain, but technically not a Marvel Studios villain.
Okay.
Magneto.
Yep, he's made my list.
Yep. The reason why Magneto's on my list is like I said, I grew up with the X-Men animated series. So obviously Magneto is in that. Always enjoyed Magneto when on that show. But then beyond that, I also watched. There was another X-Men animated cartoon called X-Men Evolution,
right?
Which was overall, it was story-wise, it wasn't as well
wasn't
written,
as good,
but it was still. I still quite liked it, but overall, it wasn't good. But in terms of the actual animation and things like that, I thought it was better. I thought everyone's powers were handled a lot. Looked a lot cooler in that show, especially Magneto's, because in the original animated series, whenever he wanted to use his powers, like those blue rings would come out of his hand. Whereas in this show, it was the first. I can't remember if it came out before or after the first X-Men film, but you kind of saw it how it would be, which was him. He would just be able to pick things up and crush metal and things like that, and it looked really cool. And then obviously you get onto the films. I mean, you have Ian McKellen, starting out playing Magneto, does a great job.
Definitely
villainous. I mean, in X2, he has those the tiniest little metal balls, and he's able to break out of a prison.
That's a really cool
with those. Whereas
through iron and
exactly, I love that. But then also on top of that, you've now got also Michael Fassbender playing young Magneto, and I think he's doing a great job of playing young really Magneto. Cool. So I'm really enjoying it. I feel like you definitely get with Michael Fassbender's Magneto, you definitely get a better idea of why he is the way he is. If you know what I mean.
That's one thing I really like about Magneto. And you can really sympathise.
Yeah, and he's another one, kind of like you were saying with the Kingpin. He thinks he's doing the right thing. You know, in his mind, he's doing the right thing for his people. He's doing the right thing for mutants, and he's trying to protect mutants.
He just goes about it the wrong way.
He just goes about it the wrong way. And I really like both the dynamic that Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart as Professor X have had. But I also really like the dynamic that Michael Fassbender and James McAvoy have had as Professor X have had. And I think
they're doing a good
overall they're handling that, even though not every X-Men film has been great. That's something that I think they've always handled really well. Even that's one thing. Even I think they handled it quite well in X3, which was when for some reason they decided they were going to kill off Professor X. Afterwards,
not explain how he comes back whatsoever.
No. But I mean, I think at that point they kind of just have to gloss over that and just kind of say, they're just like, you know what, we can't explain it. We're just gonna gloss over it.
Yeah.
But
I'm back and I'm fine.
But yeah, in X3 afterwards, is it Pyro? Like Magneto's little henchman, with the flames. Is that his name? Pyro. He's like, I would have, killed the professor myself if you'd let me. And Magneto's like, Charles Xavier did more for mutants than you'll ever know, and he was a good friend. And you can really tell that even after all that time at odds with each other, they still have a great respect for each other. And I really like.
I like that.
And. So Magneto is my number 8.
I like it. I'll mention him a bit more, so I've got him on my list later, but I'll move on for now to my number 7, who is Darkseid.
He's my number 7 as well.
Well, let's make it a joint conversation.
Nice.
Sweet. So,
first matchup of the day.
Why do we love Darkseid then?
Well, I mean, he's basically the most powerful...
He's awesome.
DC villain, isn't he? I mean, he is the ultimate DC villain.
He looks,
badass. He's got just crazy powers. I mean, he's the only villain where you can kind of really look at it and think, I can understand why Superman maybe needs the Justice League to take this guy down. And whether or not we see him in the Justice League film that's coming up in a couple of years, or whether they're going to save. I'd like to see him, especially because I'd also like to see Apocalypse. Apocalypse is not as in the X-Men villain, but the world that he kind of it's his world basically. And I think because Zack Snyder's directing Justice League, I think as well as Batman v Superman, and I think he could do some really great stuff with. with Apocalypse, and
really
because and I remember the kind of the disappointing thing about Smallville, the final season of Smallville, was they bigged up Darkseid for the whole season, and then he's not actually really in it.
Shame.
He's just kind of a weird cloud thing, and he kind of takes over people's bodies, but that's kind of all it really
Sounds
was.
Like
and
Galactus from.
I mean, don't go. I mean, it did lead to a really cool fight between Green Arrow and Clark Kent, because when Darkseid would take over someone's body, that person would then have the strength of Darkseid and things like that. So it made for a very interesting fight because he takes over Green Arrow's body in the final episode. Spoilers, and it makes for a pretty cool fight there. But yeah. So
Darkseid for me.
You go.
I'll go. There's a great JLL story which I've got right in front of me by Grant Morrison, which is about a alternative world where Darkseid takes over.
Oh, nice.
Cool. It's got some great Batman moments in, but it's a really dark story about how this evil being would just ruin Earth and the galaxy. Just wants to spread death and destruction. I will say,
classic Darkseid.
I like Darkseid when he's like 8 foot, whatever, big guy, but still like humanoid size. Yeah, I didn't like in the Justice League War cartoon. Yeah, and I assume the comic book when he was almost like 20 foot. Yeah, it just seemed too big. Yeah, and then when you
he needs to be
fair fight,
with Superman, definitely needs to be smaller. Man, probably size. How big Thanos is probably going to be in. Yeah,
it's just a shame Thanos is going to get there first, because I know he's a rip-off in the movies. He's going to.
I'm not sure if date-wise.
We don't even know.
I can't remember what date Justice League's meant to come out, but it might be around the same time.
Justice League, though.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, that's if, I suppose.
So, but yeah, Darkseid he's a proper badass, proper menacing whenever he's on screen. His Omega beams are really cool.
Yeah, exactly. Where they can just follow you around, like it's just.
And spoilers, he actually kills Batman. In a comic book. This one time. So anyone that can do that, anyone who can do that can.
This one time, a bear
gets my respect.
Darkseid killed Batman.
Right. So then, I guess that's number 7 for both of us.
Yeah. So
do I go straight on
to 6?
Yeah,
you just go straight on to 6. Go for it.
Well, we'll go on to 6 then, and it will be Magneto again.
Okay.
So he's number 6. Only thing I really want to add from our earlier discussion is I think that Magneto, again, like Loki, could be one that becomes so likeable that he becomes more of an anti-hero.
Right, okay.
But I feel like with the movies so far,
he's been
every time he gets too close, he then does something that you think, oh, Magneto, you're such a
you're still a bad
your methods are so terrible.
Yeah, I know.
Like the bit at the end of Future Past, when he basically betrays him, and First Class for that matter.
Well, yeah, I mean,
when he gets the helmet on,
and he's also and he's then basically the reason that Professor X ends up disabled. Yeah.
So yeah, that he's done a good job. And
do they hint at that being the reason, like in X1 and X2? Do they hint at that at all being the reason why he's disabled or not?
No, they never really acknowledged that.
Well, I quite like that they went that way with it though. I thought it kind of made their rivalry that much
draws
more,
them together a bit.
Yeah,
more.
exactly.
Makes it a bit more personal.
Yeah, and I mean that bit in Days of Future Past when they're in the plane. Yeah, and Charles is like, you abandoned me, and then he's like, you abandoned us all, and he's like almost bringing the plane down. You're like, okay.
I like that Magneto is so in control of his abilities. Yeah, which none of the X-Men, none of the really powerful ones seem to be that in control as Magneto is.
But he's just, I mean,
if it's metal,
although he's not. But what I like about what they're doing with the Michael Fassbender Magneto is, prior to this point, even though he's been in more control than perhaps everyone else, with the exception of Professor X. he's still, you can tell he's not as in control as he is at the beginning of X1, where he's, you know, obviously by that point he's like a veteran mutant.
Oh man.
You know, and he's like, he's got full command over his abilities at that point. But, you know, and he's obviously, he knows what he can do, but he's not refined it yet. Michael Fassbender's one, you know. So I like that about how they're handling that.
Also, it's cool that he manipulates metal.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest X-Men is Wolverine. So, like, Wolverine is just always completely useless.
Apart from in Days of Future Past, because he hasn't got his...
He hasn't got his bone claws.
He hasn't got his he's got his bone claws.
Oh, no, yeah, he's got his bone
He hasn't got his adamantium skeleton yet.
But they're working...
Because they even make a reference to that, because Wolverine gets his claws out, and Magneto's like, if those were metal... and Wolverine's a bit like... good thing they're not then.
Yeah, that was a good film.
Yeah,
and then
I love that film.
I mean, he does dispatch of him quite brutally.
Yeah, he does. He really does, doesn't he?
Like, impales him with metal.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Throws him.
Yeah, and then throws him into the. Was it? I guess it's a river, isn't it? Yeah.
Into the river.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's Magneto.
Nice. Okay. Well, my number 6. Mentioning one you've already mentioned, my number 6 is Kingpin.
Kingpin, okay. Good.
Like I said, you know, from the Spider-Man animated series, he was like he was, you know, literally a big villain in that. And you get in that, and in the comics as well, but in that series you really get that sense of, you know, he's a physically imposing, brutal kind of entity. He's intelligent enough to he's always, you know, intelligent enough to be one step ahead of kind of most other people that he's up against, and he's got the money to make these things happen. You know, he's the super villain triple threat. Yeah, you know, and it's, you know, obviously it's a cartoon, so you don't really get to see him ever get that brutal, but you do get, every now and again he'll like pick someone up and like crush them. You know, he'll be like he at some point he does pick up Spider-Man and he's like crushing Spider-Man, and you know, I think you can like almost hear Spider-Man's like ribs breaking. Like maybe I like made this up in my head, but like I swear you can almost hear it. But like, you know, because he's saying he's crushing me, I can't like breathe or whatever. Also in a personal favourite Spider-Man comic book arc that I read. It was one of the first comic book arcs I ever read. It's called Back in Black.
Right.
And it's set literally just after the events of Marvel Civil War.
Right.
And basically in that, obviously everyone knows Peter Parker's identity at that point.
Sure.
So Aunt May gets shot.
Right.
And so Spider-Man goes out and he basically, in the comics, even after he gets rid of the symbiote, he kind of has a homemade black suit for a while.
Right.
So he goes out and gets that black suit. And actually at the end of Civil War, you can see him wearing the black suit. But then this is like the first time he probably goes out and gets it. And basically it all comes down to the fact that, you know, it transpires that Kingpin's the one that arranged for Aunt May to get shot, sort of thing. So, and he's in prison, and Spider-Man goes to the prison, and basically, just in this black costume, he's like, this is me saying that I'm not necessarily going to be bound by the rules that I'm normally bound by, and I'm going to cross a few lines, especially considering my aunt's dying.
Yeah.
You know, and he almost kind of tortures Kingpin,
right,
to a certain extent, and it kind of ends with him saying, I'm not going to kill you now, but if Aunt May dies, then you die. And then he leaves, and Aunt May doesn't die. But
of course she doesn't.
But you know, he like does like a blood transfusion and saves her life. But like Peter does, you know, because obviously he's got super blood, so it kind of like helps her to heal.
Oh, the super blood.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
How many times?
Yeah, I know, right? But yeah, like I said, that was one of the first kind of comic book story arcs I ever read when I was just like 15, something like that, 16, and I loved it. And you know, I read it again when I was at university as well. I brought it to uni with me because I couldn't remember the whole thing, and like I read it all again, and I was like, Yeah, this is like badass. So you know,
nice.
Yeah.
So you look forward to.
So yeah, and like we said earlier, I also really enjoyed Vincent D'Onofrio as the Kingpin as well. You know, maybe he could have spoken a little bit quicker, but
he gave him a menace.
I always felt like he was, in the animated series, he was a bit more menacing because he was a lot more. But then I think he's meant to be like an older Kingpin in that anyway. So,
right.
But they do allude to him doing in the same way that, well, in the way they show it in Daredevil, they allude to him killing his father in the animated series. Obviously, they can't have him outright doing it because it was essentially for kids. But they do allude to it though, that he killed his father, and one of his henchmen, not his henchmen, one of his more like his lieutenants, kind of says to him, "You really are ruthless, aren't you?" And that's actually in the first time Daredevil ever makes an appearance in the animated series. But yeah, anyway.
I'll have to check it out one day.
Yeah. So number 5.
Number 5. Right. So for me, number 5 is the Red Hood, aka Jason Todd.
I'm a fan of the Red Hood.
Now, a slight disclaimer.
You're talking Red Hood as a villain.
Nowadays he's more of an anti-hero who kills, but only if he has to.
Yeah.
That's not the Red Hood I like. I like the Red Hood who showed up. The first scene you see of the Red Hood in the comic book is he throws down like a bag of severed heads onto the table of a load of mob bosses.
And it's kind of the same, and it's the same because I've not read the comic book, but I've seen the animated film that's based around that comic book storyline, and it's the same. It's the same thing happens in.
Looks a bit more brutal in the comic books.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And it basically no holds barred. I mean, he's an anti-hero in the fact that he's killing good people.
Yeah,
but he also
killing bad people. You mean?
Killing bad people, but he says quite explicitly, if anyone gets in my way, then they'll get the chop as well.
Whoever it is, regardless of how
Batman
good you are,
tries to get in his way, and they lead to now. I think he's one of Batman's more captivating villains.
Yeah,
when he is the villain.
Yeah, when he's actually a villain,
and not just another.
Yeah.
Spoke in the will of the Bat family.
Yeah.
When he's actually a proper villain.
Yeah.
I think he's a real interesting take to have and RoBen as a dark RoBen that's gone wrong.
Just to go back to Hush, like the storyline of Hush, briefly, that's the first kind of hint you get at that. Because you have Clayface appearing as a resurrected Jason Todd. Obviously, it's not the real Jason Todd, but I don't think that was long before Red Hood actually appeared. I don't think. In the comics.
It was because of like a massive spike in the sale of that comic book.
Yeah, everyone was like, "Oh my god, Jason Todd!"
Yeah, we better bring him back because obviously people want it.
Yeah.
And they then reworked it so that it was Jason Todd, and then he like snuck away mid-fight and swapped with Clayface.
Right.
When in the comic books, that's how they explain it.
Right.
So, but either way.
Okay.
Either way, when he does come back properly. He's like the Punisher, basically, but a bit more off-hinged.
Evil.
A bit more evil, a bit more off-hinged.
An actual bad guy, whereas the Punisher you still kind of think of as a good guy.
Punisher's a good guy, just a bit.
Yeah, just brutal.
Yeah,
but
very brutal. That's Red Hood. I just like the idea of a Batman.
Yeah,
Batman's attempt at doing something right, going bad.
Yeah,
and becoming one of his kind of nemesis because of it. Because
Jason Todd was always like, Batman even says like, I don't think you ever understood fully kind of why we have boundaries and things like that. So, and they
allude at him possibly having killed someone before he was even the Red Hood, as it were.
Doesn't he break someone's neck or something like that?
Some guy slips off a balcony.
Oh, right,
and he's kind of like, he slipped.
Oh, okay.
When it could be like, did he slip or did he push him?
Okay.
We'll never know.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, that'll do for Jason.
Cool. Well, my number 5 is the Green Goblin.
Okay, interesting.
Green Goblin is essentially meant to be, I think the impression I get is that it's essentially Marvel's answer to the Joker.
Yeah.
Cool. But again, pretty much like every Marvel villain I've mentioned, goes back to the animated series for me. He's in the Spider-Man one. He features heavily. Yeah, he features heavily in that at times. Mostly as Norman Osborn, which for me personally is the way it should be.
Yeah.
Norman Osborn should be the Green Goblin. That's one of my problems with The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I don't have a problem with Harry Osborn eventually ending up being the Green Goblin for a bit. Yeah. I don't mind that, but I do feel like Norman Osborn should be the Goblin first.
Sure.
And I think that Willem Dafoe did a pretty good job in Spider-Man 1. I quite
he gets a bit of stick.
Yeah. Now. I quite liked his portrayal of Norman Osborn / the Green Goblin.
It's like a bit like Gollum when he's like talking to himself.
Yeah.
It's too crazy
people. But Willem Dafoe would probably be one of my. He'd be on my list of actors I'd want to see take on the Joker at some point, maybe. I think he could pull it off. I mean, he's basically pulled off the Marvel equivalent, so I feel like he could probably pull it off. But
older Batman story.
Yeah, but what was I going to say? But and I thought that in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, I thought the fight that Spider-Man and the Green Goblin have, but they completely rushed Harry Osborn becoming Green Goblin.
They rushed him like that.
Out of nowhere, he just is Green Goblin. He knows how to use everything, and don't get me wrong, the fight was really cool. But
apart from maybe the dubstep.
Well, yeah, apart from that, maybe. But I think Dane DeHaan could have made a great Green Goblin had he been, given the proper treatment. I think. But yeah, no, I really like the Green Goblin. He has a great kind of story arc in the Spider-Man animated series. It's just they do a similar Gwen Stacy kind of storyline, except they do it with Mary Jane instead of Gwen Stacy, because Gwen Stacy I don't think she appears at all in the Spider-Man animated series. It's pretty much all about Mary Jane. But
probably thanks to Raimi's movies.
So they basically do a similar kind of thing though, but with Mary Jane instead of, and they don't actually have her breaking her neck or anything like that. She like falls through some kind of space time portal thing,
right?
Instead of because it's a kids show, so they don't want to kill her.
She die?
But no, she doesn't die. She just disappears, and you think that she's come back, but she hasn't really come back, and things like that. It's a good story arc, but I don't want to kind of necessarily give it all away. But
sure.
I'm a big fan of the Green Goblin. So.
Good. Just briefly before we move on, Amazing Spider-Man 2 gets a lot of hate.
Yes, it does.
Just take us off topic a little bit. I remember quite enjoying it. It wasn't a great film, but it had some good action.
Yeah, definitely.
I think I definitely need to rewatch it.
I've watched it a second time since seeing it. I did still enjoy it.
Yeah.
I still enjoyed all the Spider-Man being Spider-Man stuff.
Yeah.
For me, it's very similar. For me, it's kind of a bit like when we saw the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle film.
Sure.
Because I really liked all the turtle stuff in that film, but the stuff going on around it was a bit iffy.
Terrible.
And that's kind of I don't think the Amazing Spider-Man was quite that bad.
No, it wasn't.
But I had the same.
But
I still quite enjoyed the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle film because of the turtles. In the same way, I quite enjoyed the Amazing Spider-Man 2 for all the Spider-Man action stuff. I thought that was all really cool.
Probably the best action.
But there were some flaws in it, but I still really like. It's definitely not worse than Spider-Man 3. So
no, it's not.
It's definitely not that bad. And a lot of people, I've heard some people like online refer to it as being like the Batman and Robin of our time, and I'm that's a bit far.
Yeah, I don't think it's that bad.
It's really not that bad. But
it's probably, I think people have bigger expectations for Spider-Man than I do. Which is probably why I didn't.
I have pretty big expectations of Spider-Man, but even then, I didn't hate the film.
Yeah.
So I would happily sit and watch it again. And I'd get enjoyment out of it. I mean, there are certain issues I have with it, but I don't you know, the stuff that I like about the film, I like more than the stuff that bothers me about it bothers me, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. To me, it's I think Sony, they've definitely done missteps if I'm not excited for a Spider-Man film.
Yeah.
And I'm expecting it to be poor, which is why I'm very excited that Marvel are going to get it.
Yeah. Although at the same time, I'm not loving the things that's coming out of Marvel in terms of Spider-Man.
Well, as long as it's not Asa Butterfield, I'll be happy. But
I don't want. I want. You know, I've said this to you before. I want Spider-Man. I don't want Spider-Boy, Spider-Tween. You know,
I want Miles Morales. I'll be honest.
That'd be cool. I'd be fine with that. But I don't think they'll do it because
it's definitely
you know. I think they'll do it. I think they'll do Miles Morales eventually.
But
I don't think they're not going to start it because they want to have a recognisable Spider-Man before and then they'll probably introduce Miles Morales in a Spider-Man film, and then he can kind of carry on being Spider-Man after Peter Parker, whatever they decide to do with Peter Parker. But
up to Marvel now, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, and Sony, but
it's up to Marvel, really.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. It's up to Marvel.
Give them full reign. Like, we're sorry.
Yeah. You just
Yeah. Should we move on
number 4.
back to the list? Is it my number 4?
Yes.
Okay, so my number 4 is Lex Luthor.
It's fine.
There you go. Bang.
There you go.
Another joint.
There you go. Right, you go first.
We'll tackle it then as a joint.
Yeah.
Lex Luthor is obviously he's one of the most famous villains.
Probably the most famous Superman.
Oh, easily, yeah.
You know.
Yeah. What I love about Lex Luthor is that I love that in like alternative world storylines, Lex Luthor is often the good guy.
Yeah, I know they have him being the good guy a lot. Like I remember one of my favourite of the DC animated films is Crisis on Two Earths.
Yeah.
And he's a good guy in the parallel universe. He's also a good guy in Injustice, the game, isn't he?
He's kind of like
he's like boiled
doing his classic Luthor. I'm good, but then he kind of betrays him.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all about his character. That the only reason he kind of despises Superman so much is because he wants to be the center of attention. Yeah. He wants to be the great guy.
Yeah. He wants to be the one. He essentially wants to be Superman.
Yeah.
You know, to a certain extent.
He has to try so hard.
Yeah.
To do anything in life, comparatively to Superman, who gets given these gifts, whereas Luthor's had to struggle his life.
Yeah.
Now that obviously he's rich, so that helps, and he's corrupt.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that aspect of him.
Yeah,
that he's so egotistical that when Superman's not around, he's often like.
Yeah.
Lex Luthor to me could have done wonders. To the world. But sadly, Superman existed, so to him, nothing else mattered.
Yeah, exactly.
But proving that he was better than this godlike being, which he's never going to do because he's.
I mean,
not.
Yeah, I know. I crapped on the last season of Smallville earlier on, but one thing they did, I think they handled really well throughout the whole series of Smallville was Lex Luthor,
right?
Because they actually start out with him and Clark Kent being friends.
Yeah.
First episode. Clark saves him from Lex Luthor's essentially in a bit of a car accident, drives his car over a bridge into a river. Clark goes in and saves him, and then it's kind of like they're friends from that point onwards. But what happens is before he goes into the river, Lex essentially hits Clark's car. That essentially hits Clark.
Right.
And Clark kind of goes over, I don't really know why the car doesn't just slam into him and just stop, but for some reason Clark tumbles over it. For some reason Clark tumbles over it. I guess they kind of explain it by he's only a kid, so he's not in full, powers yet. But Lex then gets completely obsessed with how Clark survived this, and whilst they're friends, he's also like obsessed with. The reason they're friends is because Lex is obsessed with Clark Kent, and that's essentially how it goes back to the way it's always been between Lex Luthor and Superman. Lex is obsessed
He's
with
Superman. Guy. Yeah.
And eventually it all comes out in Smallville that Lex is kind of obsessing over Clark Kent, and eventually he even finds out Clark's secret, I think. But then stuff happens. But yeah, overall they handled Lex Luthor the character really well, and I think it's Michael Rosenbaum was a really good, really portrayed Lex Luthor quite well in my opinion. So
yeah,
one of the better Lexes we've seen, I think, in my opinion overall.
Well,
any issue I had with that character wasn't his fault. It was the writing of the show's fault. Any actual issues I did have with that character.
What are our thoughts on Jesse Eisenberg going to play in the new movie?
I've decided I'm going to be positive. I wasn't happy when he got cast,
really? Okay.
But I've decided I'm going to be positive just because he's pretty monotone.
See, when I
kind of think he's a bit overrated personally. But
I'm the opposite. But I think he's a bit underrated, and I think he's a good actor. And I liked him everything I've seen him in.
I think everyone loves him, and I'm a little bit white.
I'm looking forward to this Social Network.
Yeah, that should be interesting.
Which is interesting.
But
I don't think you're ever going to get a physical match to Henry Cavill.
But I don't.
So go
the
other
Lex
way.
Luthor though, I don't think you necessarily need.
You don't need to. No, that is true.
I don't think any.
But then that's why I like the fact they've gone this complete opposite way, where it's like this nerdy.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah.
Little guy.
I mean, when that picture of him came out, with the bald head. I mean, essentially all it is a bald guy. Like it's not even, and I guess he's looking kind of menacing. But that did make me, as regardless of what you may think of that, that did make me kind of stop and think, okay, all right, I can see him looking the part of Lex Luthor now. Because before I actually saw him bald, I couldn't even imagine him bald because he's always had like long curly hair in like every film he's ever been in prior to that. So I couldn't even imagine him even physically looking the part.
Right.
But at least now that he physically looks the part, it kind of brings me into it a little bit more. And I'm hopeful that he's going to be able to play the part well as well. So I've decided I'm just going to stay optimistic for everything.
I think he'll be good.
I want this film to be awesome. So
yeah, you don't want to overhype yourself. But I think he's definitely.
But until he proves me right or wrong, I'm just going to try and remain
neutral,
positive, and
sure. What was I going to say? Other versions of Lex Luthor, Gene Hackman, the original.
Yeah.
What do you think of him?
Yeah, I thought for the time he was a fine Lex Luthor.
Bit too campy at points, but those other films.
Yeah, those Superman films are a bit campy, which is part of their charm, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's like that's just what it was back then anyway.
Sure.
So until Batman came along, that's the original Tim Burton's original Batman. That's what superhero television and films was. It was a lot campier. Yeah. So,
what do we think of Power Suit Lex Luthor?
I'm a fan of it every now and again, but sure. I don't want him every week turning up in his power suit. Sure. You know what I mean? I don't want him, to always have a power suit. I want to see the intelligent Lex Luthor being the villain as well. I wouldn't mind. I don't want Lex Luthor to have a power suit in Batman v Superman, but if he has one down the line at some point, in a Man of Steel sequel, full proper Man of Steel sequel, if he then has a power suit in that, so that he can go more toe to toe with Superman, then I'd be fine with that. But I don't want to always see him in power suit.
See, I always thought to myself, I don't like the power suit, because why wouldn't he just get someone like trained or dangerous to go into the power suit?
Okay, yeah.
But then I was thinking about this yesterday, and I was thinking, that's exactly why you wouldn't, because he's Lex Luthor.
Yeah,
and he's egotistical maniac.
He does things himself.
Yeah, he wants to do it himself. So
that's a line from Smallville that Lex Luthor says. He says to his dad, "You always taught me, if you want to do something, do it yourself. Don't hire lesser minds to do it for you."
So I'm on board with the power suit. Yeah, like a bit like you.
Yeah,
I'd like to see it, but
just don't overdo it.
And you want to see that also, the clever,
more
kind of calculated side of him, rather than just I know what to do. I'll build a suit and go try and beat this guy up.
Exactly.
You want him to be more clever.
Yeah.
Sure. So I think we should move on after
number
that.
Number 3.
Is it me, number 3?
Yep.
Okay. So my number 3 is a bit of a cheat. Okay. Because this guy is also my second favourite hero of all time. But my third favourite villain, and I'm talking about when he is a villain in alternative storylines, is Superman.
Right, okay.
So Injustice would be the big one to point to.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Don't you love it though when Superman is the villain?
Yeah, I do. I do love
villain.
bad guy Superman. Like, going back to Smallville again, that was something like they did an alternative universe Superman where he was found by instead of being found by the Kents, he was found by the Luthor family.
Right.
And so him and Lex were raised as brothers essentially by Lionel Luthor, and Lionel Luthor in Smallville is Lex's dad, and he's kind of like the Lex character for a while before Lex kind of is Lex, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Before he's the Lex Luthor, we all know Lionel Luthor kind of acts that part.
Yeah.
And so this is Lionel Luthor as a bad guy, and he's got the most powerful being in the world as his son, you know. And
sounds like an interesting.
I love it, and that was one of my one of the things I loved as well, because you kind of got to see Tom Welling play a different kind of side to you know that character, and it was cool, you know, because there was also a bit with Red Kryptonite, which makes his personality goes strange, if you know what I mean.
Aggressive, is it?
Yeah, more aggressive and things like that. You know, because obviously green Kryptonite affects him physically, so the red Kryptonite affects him mentally.
Right. Okay.
And it kind of makes him. It makes him more. At first, it kind of just seems like he's a bit more confident, but then it kind of gets, like you were saying, more aggressive and things like that, and he becomes kind of as the longer he has this ring on, which is a red Kryptonite ring, he becomes more.
I should watch this show.
It's good.
Sounds good.
It's good. Mostly.
Superman in The Dark Knight Returns is also kind of the villain.
He's kind of the bad. He's not the bad guy, but
he wants to do good, but he's being manipulated. Really, probably doesn't realise he's being manipulated as much as he is. But that's what I like Superman when he gives into his darker side. I guess you'd say. He's always an interesting villain, and it's always Batman, really. Who has to step up to the plate to take him down. So that's why he's made my number 3 list, because I always want to see Superman as the villain.
Okay, I didn't.
Not always.
Like I said, I didn't even.
Obviously, I love Superman as a good guy as well.
I didn't even think about it, but
it's a bit of a cheat, but
you know,
it's cool though.
It's cool. It is,
and that's why we like Elseworld stories.
Yeah, exactly. Because you get, because it's not like canon, as it were, but it's it's just a cool little kind of thing to think about. Note.
I'd like to see a story where Batman becomes the villain.
That would be really interesting. Yeah.
I think there have been stories like that.
There's I've not read it, but I can't remember what it's called now. But there is a what they called, like, I think it's called Nemesis or something like that.
Right.
I'm not sure, but and it's basically it's not actually Batman, but it's basically the writer has come out and said himself of this comic book where he's come out and said, I basically thought to myself, what if instead of using all his money for to help him do good things, he used his money to become a supervillain instead, sort of thing. So, and it's not actually Batman, but that's essentially what it is. So there's been definitely stories like that. People imagining, basically going, if Batman was evil, I think he'd act like this. But
I guess it's because we never want Batman to snap and go too far. That's why we love Batman.
I guess also Elseworld, kind of looking at it, I mean, in Flashpoint, where he's more Punisher-esque.
Yeah, Punisher Batman. Or Red Hood.
Or Red Hood,
fair enough. Maybe one day.
Yeah, maybe one day.
Right, go on then. You're number 3.
Number 3. My number 3. I'm actually going with Deathstroke.
Ooh,
/ Slade Wilson.
Okay, I like
or
that.
Slade, as he might be known to some people. So obviously you've got Arrow.
Sure.
Where Deathstroke is the main villain of season 2, and Manu Bennett does an amazing job as Deathstroke, and to be honest, it's kind of what's brought him up in higher in my top 10.
Sure, yeah.
Because before he was probably the lower kind of part of my top 10, but but yeah. So, and like I said, Manu Bennett does an amazing job as Deathstroke. He's menacing. He's physically imposing.
Yeah.
You know, you can believe that he's going toe to toe with Green Arrow, and I mean it's because he had a part in training Green Arrow in this show.
In that show.
And it's really, I think that's really great. But also, my first actual introduction to sort of the character of Deathstroke was in. Did you ever watch the old Teen Titans cartoon? Teen Titans Go!
I did not.
It was really cheesy and kiddie, but it was
great.
But at the same time, I was watching it as a kid and I loved it. And it was RoBen, Cyborg, Beast Boy, Raven, and Starfire.
Right.
And they were the team, and their main villain was called Slade.
Right.
And he was essentially Deathstroke. He was dressed like Deathstroke, but he was just called Slade again because it was a kids show. They didn't want him to be called Deathstroke, so they called him Slade instead.
Yeah.
And there was one kind of, there was a couple of episodes which I really enjoyed because Slade basically implanted like nanobots into the Teen Titans' bloodstream.
Sure.
And he basically said to RoBen, either you're going to become my apprentice or I'm going to kill all your friends.
Right.
With these nanobots.
Tough
these
call.
Nanobots are going to like start, doing stuff inside your friends' bodies and kill them. So,
pesky nanobots.
So, and basically, so RoBen doesn't really have much of a choice, and he's like, well, I guess I've got to do what you want me to do. So he kind of becomes like Slade's apprentice for a couple of episodes. And there's this really great bit that I love, which is Slade says to him, at some point you might even start to look at me as a father figure. And RoBen just kind of, it's a little bit cheesy, but RoBen just kind of looks up and he goes, I already have a father. And then a load of bats fly around and you're like, yeah.
I like it.
So, and yeah, I really enjoyed the Teen Titans, TV show. I think if I went back to it, I'd be like, some of this is really cheesy. But overall, I thought it was a really good little animated TV show. Not to be confused with what's now on, I think it's Cartoon Network, which is Teen Titans Go, which is, it's based on the same set of characters, but it's literally just for kids.
Yeah,
like there's no fighting or anything like that. It's literally just these little like shorts just for kind of short things just for kids.
Which is fine.
Yeah, which is fine. Yeah, exactly. If it introduces kids to to this world, then that's fine. But
they did cancel Young Justice.
I know.
Which
Deathstroke's also in that, and I quite like the way he's used in that as well, because he's with Artemis for a while when she's pretending to be Tigress.
Right.
So
I remember that.
This is like season 2, and you've seen both.
Yeah, I've seen it.
And she's like she's pretending to be Tigress to like infiltrate the light, and they're kind of together for a lot of it. So
I remember that.
Quite enjoy it.
It's good.
Yeah. So that's Deathstroke's my number 3.
He was a badass in Arkham Origins.
He is. No, I didn't love the game overall, but
I love that game.
I thought after Asylum and
it wasn't as good as City or Asylum.
I thought it was a bit of a step down, but I still enjoyed it. But I didn't overall.
That scene was really cool. The fight between.
Yeah, that is really cool. But yeah. So on to number 2.
Oh, number 2, the big 2. So my number 2 is Mr. Freeze. Bit of an odd choice, you might think. But
definitely makes my honourable mention.
I really like a hero I can relate to.
Okay.
And I like. I mean, his backstory is so tragic.
Yeah.
That's why he's one of my favourites, because I want to see him in a Batman movie one day. If we ignore Batman and Robin, then
a real Batman.
I want to see him done justice, like this really kind of tragic story about what is essentially a loner, kind of someone who never connected with anyone, being able to connect with one person,
yeah,
and then having that one person taken away from him.
Yeah, I know.
It's such a beautiful story.
Yeah,
and then he's not. Like sometimes they try and make him more of a kind of like a psychopath.
Yeah, but he's
I don't
not
like that.
really. You know.
Yeah, I like the Mr. Freeze who will kill people, but just because they're getting in the way of him.
Yeah.
Trying to save his wife.
Yeah.
And if you've ever seen the episode Heart of
almost
Ice,
noble.
yeah.
Yeah.
The episode Heart of Ice of the animated series.
Yeah.
It's a real beautiful take on on that storyline.
Yeah. Nice.
Any thoughts on Mr. Freeze?
No, I really not a lot more than what you said, but I really like Mr. Freeze. Is definitely makes my honourable mentions list. You know, but you say someone you can relate to, but then at the same time, I've never lost my wife, so maybe I don't relate to it
fair enough.
quite as much. I can see why you say that though.
Sure.
Because I mean, if I ever did, I'm sure it would be
getting a cryogenic suit.
And I'd go
just go nuts.
Just go nuts, mate.
Yeah, he's a cool character.
Yeah,
and he kind of throughout his arc, it's all about saving Nora, but then he doesn't think about when he does save her. If he ever does, sometimes he does, and sometimes doesn't.
Yeah.
If he ever does, she's not going to recognise the man he's had to transform into.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's kind of like a tragic. It's never going to work out for him.
Yeah, almost like Romeo and Juliet.
It is
just destined not to.
It's tragic.
Not to work.
It's very tragic.
Yeah, okay.
And that just resonates with me.
Fair enough. Cool.
Okay,
right. Well, my number 2 is so after Batman, my second favourite superhero is Spider-Man, because I always connected with Spider-Man growing up. He was. I've always connected with Spider-Man for some reason. I don't know why. It's just always resonated with me, and therefore, as Spider-Man's my second favourite superhero, my second favourite villain is what I basically think is almost like the reverse of Spider-Man, which is Venom.
Yeah, I like it.
We'll start with the beginning where Spider-Man kind of gets taken over by the symbiote himself.
Sure.
I love that black costume. I mentioned it earlier where he has it, and I love it. Like I was, which is one of the reasons why Spider-Man 3 ticks me off just that little bit more, because I was even looking forward to seeing Spider-Man be kind of a bit of a bad, a bit of a dick for a while, and he is, but not the way you want him. No, I didn't want emo. I didn't want emo Spider-Man. I wanted just a bit. Kind of not completely their Spider-Man, that's what I wanted. But
if I could erase one film from existence, it would be
Spider-Man 3. Yeah,
because whenever you bring up the Raimi Spider-Man, you can't defend
1 and 2 was so great,
but you can't defend them because the third one is such an abortion.
I know, almost undoes everything they did in the first two.
The first two, especially the second one,
yeah,
so good.
They are really great. So then obviously. Spider-Man kind of gets rid of the symbiote, and the symbiote finds Eddie Brock, and that's kind of I'm a bit of a traditionalist, so I'm going with Eddie Brock Venom rather than some of the newer iterations of Venom, because I think at the moment Flash is Venom, but he's kind of like they've learnt to control the symbiote though, I think, in the comics.
Right.
So
he's more of a
he's like
anti-hero now as well, Venom.
Yeah, Carnage, but he's like But I actually almost considered putting symbiotes instead of just Venom, so I could also include Carnage, but I thought that'd be cheating.
Hasn't Carnage got another one now?
Yeah,
it's even more. Like how long are you going to go?
Yeah, Carnage is definitely worth mentioning, as well, because
one day we'll see it in a film.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, hopefully. But
make it awesome.
Yeah, and so I really kind of what I really enjoyed about the Venom in the animated series, which they clearly tried to do with Spider-Man 3 and failed miserably, was kind of Eddie Brock isn't a bad dude. He's just not good enough, if you know what I mean. So, he keeps trying to he's like a reporter and a photographer, and he keeps trying to impress J. Jonah Jameson. And just every time he tries, he really thinks he's managed it, and then something happens, and he, normally which Spider-Man is involved in, and in the animated series, basically Venom, Eddie Brock he stages some photos of Spider-Man stealing something, and he's like, this is, I think he edits some, photos to make them look like Spider-Man's robbing a bank or something like that, and he, in the same way he does in Spider-Man 3. So like I said, they tried to do it.
I can't.
They tried to do it, and
I don't like to remember.
They tried, like I said, they tried to do it the same way and failed miserably. But so he and he's like, J. Jonah Jameson fires him, and he's like, but I was just trying to, I thought this would make you happy. I was just trying to, I did it for you, sort of thing. And then, just when, and in his mind, Spider-Man's the one that keeps getting in the way of him kind of achieving his full potential. So then he gets the Venom suit, right, in the cartoon, literally right after, well, in the same way they do in the film, right after, it's almost shot for shot the same as what happens in the animated series, but it's just terrible in the film. Right. It's just terrible in the film, because probably because you've got Topher Grace and
you're just bored at this point.
Yeah, exactly. So and he so there's Peter Parker gets out of the symbiote. The symbiote finds Eddie Brock, and the symbiote at this point now hates Spider-Man as well, because he's kind of rejected it, and then the combined hatred of both the symbiote and Eddie Brock for Spider-Man form Venom, and then Venom is basically in the animated series they kind of just make him seem like, right, he's basically got the exact same powers as Spider-Man but better. He's got stronger webbing, he's stronger, he's quicker, and because the symbiote was a part of Peter Parker, he now can't detect it in his spider sense. So Venom could come and get him at any point, and it kind of plays tricks with his mind a little bit. And
powerful Venom.
Yeah, I really like it. And then later on, they do kind of turn him in that series. They do turn him into a bit of an anti-hero, which I'm kind of okay with. But at the same time, I would have preferred him if he'd stayed.
If you live long enough, you become the hero.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
if you start off as the villain.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at the Velociraptors.
Yeah.
In Jurassic World.
Well, I've not seen it yet.
You've not seen it, but you've seen from the trailers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right then, I guess it's time for number one, and we've got the same number one.
One real winner. Isn't there,
exactly.
When it comes to the best villain.
Yeah, and obviously that winner is. Yeah. I love Kill 'Em Off, man. Kill 'Em Off is so damn great. No, it's obviously the Joker.
It is the Joker.
If we probably lost people.
People
probably went, Kill 'Em Off!
Turn off.
But no, it's obviously
the Joker.
The Joker, yeah. I mean, where do you start with the Joker?
I'll start.
You go. Okay, you go.
Because he is the perfect opposite to Batman.
Yeah.
In which Batman's the demonic looking good guy.
Yeah.
Calm, collected, in control all the time.
Yeah.
Calculated.
Yeah.
Joker's the fun looking clown.
Yeah.
Who's like the most evil person ever.
Yeah.
He's completely crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can never tell what he's gonna do.
Yeah.
And he's just I always feel like he takes so much pleasure in what he does.
Yeah.
And what he does is hurt people.
Yeah, I mean, because I read this bit I reread bits of Hush last night, and there's a bit where in Batman's kind of inner monologue, he's kind of saying, I think he says, Dick once said to me that it was either Dick or Tim Drake, I can't remember. But I think it's Dick. But he says, Dick once said to me that we're like entwined together because I represent the kind of order and the Joker represents chaos.
Sure.
And I love that kind of thought that they're completely, entwined together. And
almost.
One thing I love from watching the Red Hood animated movie is where right at the end the bomb kind of comes Jason Todd kind of activates the bomb,
sure.
and Spider-Man goes to stop it, and who do I say?
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. I know I said that. Batman goes to stop it, and yeah, I didn't even catch myself. But yeah, Batman goes to stop it, and the Joker jumps on him, and he's like, "No, this is better. I'm the only one that's going to get what he wants tonight." Because the way I see it is, the Joker kind of knows that if Batman's gone, he has nothing. He lives to kind of be the opposite to Batman, and without Batman, so the only way he kind of sees it is the only way he can go out is if he's going out at the same time as Batman. So that's how I kind of see it anyway, is that, when he says I'm the only one that's going to get what he wants, I get to, be there at the end of Batman, and I don't then have to figure out what I'm going to do afterwards. So
Heath Ledger's performance in The Dark Knight.
Well,
there's a scene where he kind of sums that up.
Yeah.
Where he's like, I don't want to
kill you.
Yeah.
I don't want to kill you. What would I do without you?
Yeah. That we should go into that performance.
Yeah. Wow.
How good it was.
I mean, it's just
now
fantastic.
Everyone in the world seems to love Joker now.
Exactly. I mean, and I remember when Heath Ledger first got cast, everyone was like, "What?
Yeah.
Heath Ledger, that guy that did A Knight's Tale."
Yeah. 10 Things I Hate About You.
Knight's Tale is actually a good film, by the way. I love that.
Things I Hate About You.
But
he wasn't Joker material.
And then he comes out and just absolutely crushes it.
He elevates the movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's just as much his movie as it is Batman's movie. And I've always kind of, had the belief that a hero is only as good as its villain.
Yeah.
And the Joker is definitely a massive part of what makes Batman so great.
The ultimate villain.
Yeah.
The ultimate hero.
Yeah, exactly.
In many ways.
And you also can't bring up, the Joker without talking a little bit about Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
Voicing the Joker in the animated series. I mean, I love that. I mean, whenever I'm like reading a comic book and I'm reading something that Joker's saying, I read it in Mark Hamill's voice,
and that laugh.
And that laugh, that he perfectly captured the maniacal Joker laugh.
And someone who's actually having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I remember I was listening to a podcast. It would have been a while ago now, actually, a couple of months ago now. It was the Schmoes Know podcast, and they had Mark Hamill on as a guest.
Nice.
And just before, he wasn't in studio, but he was like called into the show, sort of thing. And they had him for like 20 minutes. And right at the end, they asked him to kind of do something in the Joker voice, and he just does it straight away, and he's just like, he says something like, "Well, I've worked with many schmoes over the years," and it ends it with the laughter, and like you're just there, just like, oh, I got like so great. And they actually have that as the opening to the intro to their podcast now. They play that like over it because why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
and it's just fantastic.
I like really murderous Joker as well.
Yeah, Killing Joke Joker. Have you ever read?
I have read Killing Joke. Yeah,
I mean that's a terrifying.
It is a terrifying, and
that is. I mean, that's kind of Joker at his most warped and twisted. I think Killing Joke Joker.
Swan song.
I mean, he's essentially psychologically torturing Commissioner Gordon. And I mean, and he cripples Barbara Gordon, and it's just
makes her naked.
And exactly, and it's
kind of.
I mean, it was almost hard to read.
Yeah,
because it was so
disturbing.
And
it's like midgets undressing.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's difficult to read. But at the same time, you have to keep going. Like you can't stop at the same time because it's so, you know, intriguing. And
the whole idea of anyone or everyone is only one bad day away from becoming the Joker.
Exactly. He says that. Yeah, I'm. You know, everyone's just one.
And that's why, like, to me, he's always trying to break Batman because he wants to prove that
at the end, you know,
you're the same
under
as
it all. You know, you're just one bad day away.
It's such an interesting take and such an interesting villain.
What's your view on where Jared Leto's gonna go with it?
At first, I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be great."
Yeah.
But the more I've seen of him, I'm a little bit worried.
A little bit worried. I keep thinking, are we going to get Rockstar Joker? Which isn't really what I want. I don't want, you know, kind of over the top Rockstar Joker. At the same time, you know, he's a good actor.
He is,
and you know, I mean, he's won an Oscar. So, and
we need something different.
Yeah, exactly. But the only thing is, I don't want them to be different from Heath Ledger just for the sake of being different from Heath Ledger. You know, I don't want them to go to, you know, I don't think the aim should be to try and make a better Joker than Heath Ledger. No. The aim should be to just have a good Joker. Just do a good job as the Joker, and I'll be happy. I don't need it to be better than Heath Ledger because I can still go back and watch Heath Ledger's performance. You know, I mean, just having a new Joker doesn't suddenly erase his performance from existence. So,
or make it worse.
Or make it any worse. So, even if it's not as good, as long as it's a good performance, I don't mind, personally. You know, I don't need it to be better because I can always go back and watch The Dark Knight. And I will, even after this, I will go back and watch The Dark Knight. So,
at least.
Yeah.
I guess I'm a little bit nervous because I was hoping for a kind of more strict comic book true Joker.
I honestly really thought we were gonna. I honestly thought we were gonna get Killing Joke Joker. This one, I was thinking, right, this is kind of the one. Especially because at first I kind of liked what I was seeing because he properly dyed his hair like green and things like that, and I was like, oh, he's taking it like, you know, on board and seriously. But until we see him in a film, I'm not. You know, you can't really, you know, judge. And I'm not a massive fan of the Joker look.
I'm not. The tattoos are a bit.
Yeah, I don't mind the Joker having tattoos. It's just I think some of them are a bit on the nose, like the ha 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 ha.
I can't imagine him ever sitting down for that long.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And like the one across his forehead that says "damaged." I mean, that's a bit. You don't need that. I mean, I'm not like. There's one where he has like a skull and it's got like a jester hat on. I don't mind that one. That one's okay, and like I can get on board with that. And apparently, there's a rumor going around that you can see on his arm. You can see the wing of a RoBen, which would imply that Jason Todd has happened, or a RoBen has been.
That'd be quite cool.
So I don't mind things like that.
Hold out hope,
but you know, there's just a couple of them which I think are a bit stupid.
Sure.
But hey ho.
Okay. Anything else? I've got a little quote I'd like to read.
Sure.
This is Jason Todd saying this to the Joker.
Okay.
And this is about, to me, the Joker, everyone says he's insane and stuff. Which he clearly, he's not all there.
No.
But to me, I agree with this quote, which basically hides behind that to justify his crazy actions. So this says, "You're not nearly as crazy as you'd like all of us to believe, or even as crazy as you'd like to believe. It just makes it easier to justify every sick, monstrous thing you've ever done when you play the part of the mad clown. You're crazy, Bubba, but you ain't that crazy." So that to me, the Joker is obviously a psycho.
Yeah, he's not,
But I think you can't let him off for anything he's done.
No.
Because it's not like, oh, it wasn't me, it's just I'm crazy. Exactly. It's he's taking pleasure in doing what he's doing.
You know,
and being against the established order.
Yeah, definitely.
He's a bad man.
Yeah. But at the same time, you gotta love him.
Which is why he's number one.
I mean, you can't. I think if you asked a lot of people for their top 10 comic book villains, the Joker would be number one on a lot of people's lists. He did definitely. I think he would, if he's not in everybody's. I don't understand. I can understand why well, I say I can understand, but because of people's different tastes, I get that he may not be everyone's number one, but I don't see how he can not be. At least how he can't be in your conversation about it, you know.
He's probably the best villain of all time.
Yeah, in my opinion. Yeah.
Him and Darth Vader.
Yeah, him and Darth Vader. Yeah.
So Darth Vader gets to be the good guy in the end.
Exactly.
Which the Joker never will
be. Never will be.
We never want him to be.
That's my other worry about him being in Suicide Squad. I don't want him to be in the squad. You know, I want him to be like a.
I never want to be on his team.
You know, no, exactly.
Look at him and think,
exactly. You're definitely the
villain
bad guy. You're the
here,
villain of the story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Should we move on to the bat signal?
Yeah, the bat signal. Yeah. So
you got anything this week?
I'll let you go if you want to.
Yeah. So my bat signal is actually a book this week.
Yeah.
So check out BatDan and Psychology. I will lend it to you. It's written by Travis Langley, who is a psychologist who teaches a class called Batman at his college, I guess it is. But the reason why
there's a class called
there's a class called Batman, and he teaches psychology principles through the lens of Batman, which is what we should
just sign up for this class.
I would love to. I'll be honest.
Let's just move to America and sign up for this guy's class.
The reason why I've chosen it today, though, is because it's got like case files on a lot of the Batman villains. Cool. So I actually used it for a bit of my prep.
Nice.
So that's definitely where my signal is shining this week.
I like
got anything?
Not for this week.
Okay.
But so yeah, right. Well, thanks for listening again, guys. I hope you've enjoyed our top 10s.
We're now on YouTube.
Yep, we are now on YouTube, and also on Podomatic. So the link to the other one will be in the description for both.
Sure.
So in the YouTube one, we'll put the Podomatic link in there, and in Podomatic, we'll put the YouTube link in there.
I like it.
You know, if you've enjoyed, recommend us to your friends.
Yeah.
And maybe let us know some of your top 10 villains.
Yeah. And any ideas for future episodes.
Yeah.
It would be a great show.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Thanks.
Bye.